Would you recommend someone move to your state? Even though my state's a little rough around the edges, I'd still recommend Oregon. Outside of Portland. Today we look at a survey we ran late last year where we asked residents in each state if they would recommend their state to a friend or family member. Almost all states had a majority saying that they would. Today's video is about the 15 states with the highest percentage that said they wouldn't. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 15, Oklahoma. Oklahoma is that relative who swears they're doing just fine while duct taping the bumper back onto their truck. You can find work, you can find a house that doesn't require you inheriting Thurston Howell III's estate, and you could definitely find a church potluck with fried okra and cornbread. The trouble shows up when the skies go gray and your insurance agent calls back with a tone that sounds like a funeral director. Hail, wind, nature with an attitude keeps pushing household costs up, and suddenly that affordable mortgage starts growing accessories. Day to day, it's a place where the neighbors still wave and you know the guy who runs the tire shop. But you also keep one eye on the radar and the other one on your budget. The metros try and pull in new companies and the suburbs keep stretching farther out. Yet there's a nagging feeling of running uphill in boots. Families do well here when they plan for the unpredictable. Emergency funds, reinforced roofs, and a sense of humor when lawn chairs end up in the next county. If you can juggle that, Oklahoma's fine. If not, the Great Plains can feel like a long lesson in surprise expenses. 37.3% of Oklahoma residents wouldn't recommend Oklahoma to a friend or family. Number 14, Arkansas. Arkansas can look like a postcard. Grass lakes, piney hills, small towns where the coffee is strong and the gossip is scandalous. But the story at the diner isn't always cozy. Some places are booming and building, while other counties feel like they're stuck in the last chapter of a book that was kind of dramatic and kind of depressing. It's the state version of Patchwork Quilt. Nice in spots, horrible in others. Life here works best if you land in those growing pockets near steady employers where the sidewalks are new and the school fundraiser actually raises funds. Drift a few miles the wrong way and you're back to DIY fixes, long drives for good healthcare, and a police blotter you wish you wouldn't have read. People make it work because that's what people do. But you can't ignore the split screen of promise on one side and persistence on the other. You'll either love the slow pace or you'll feel like the horizon refuses to move. Obviously, I'm talking about the northwest corner of Arkansas when I'm saying things are growing and building. That's the only section of Arkansas that's doing really good. The rest should be thrown in the garbage. 39.6% of Arkansas residents wouldn't recommend Arkansas to friends or family. New Jersey. New Jersey doesn't have a property tax so much as they have an initiation fee. The location perks are elite. A short hop to New York City, quick dash to Philly, shore weekends that actually feel like weekends if you leave early enough. But every convenience comes with a toll booth, literally and figuratively. And the homes you adore will ask for a monthly offering that never stops. Daily life is efficient if you can afford the efficiency. Trains run, schools perform, town services actually are services. Then you look at your escrow and you realize you're paying for it all on an installment plan that lasts forever. For some, it's worth it. For others, it's a nudge to cross the river, a bridge, or a state line. Jersey is the premium package. Great features, relentless subscriptions, and overall a very expensive place to live. And it shouldn't be. 41.1% of New Jersey residents wouldn't recommend the state. Number 12, Nevada. Nevada is great at weekends and rough on weekdays. You move in thinking you're getting a postcard life, glittering strips, sunshine, low taxes, and then you meet the Tuesday afternoon version of the state. Service cycles, job markets that bounce like a bad slot machine, and rent that didn't get the memo about the state's affordability. The economy moves when the tourists do, and when they pause, you feel it at the gas pump, the grocery aisle, and on your calendar. Neighborhoods keep sprouting like mirages at the end of town, promising newer, bigger, shinier, but the payment due dates never blink. If you land in the right industry and time the cycle, life hums along with mountain views and decent commutes. Miss a beat and it's an expensive desert to cross. Nevada remains the ultimate feast or famine. Lease, dazzling in good times, demanding in slow ones, and never boring either way. I have a bunch of people that I grew up with that now live in Nevada, most of them in the Henderson, Las Vegas area, and they say the same thing. It's like, last year was great. This year, I don't know if I could eat. 41.5% of Nevada residents say they wouldn't recommend the state to friends or family. Number 11, Tennessee. Tennessee charms you with music, mountains, and then tells you to keep your head on a swivel. Nashville strums, Knoxville hikes, Chattanooga winks, and Memphis. Memphis makes the evening news more than anyone would like. The state sells you on pretty affordable real estate and then explains you need some security cameras. It's a peculiar blend of Southern hospitality and residents Googling things like, do I need a concealed carry permit in Tennessee? For lots of folks, the trade still pencils out. Reasonable costs, a business-friendly climate, and enough weekend adventure to keep the calendar happy. But the safety drumbeat in certain zip codes wears people down, and it turns school pickup lines and grocery runs into legit strategic operations. If you pick the right pocket, Tennessee sings. It's wonderful. Pick the wrong one, and the chorus comes with sirens. It's a choose-your-own-adventure book that requires careful page turning. 42.9% wouldn't recommend Tennessee to friends or loved ones. Number 10, Missouri. This is a state we never talk about that much, and here they are on a semi-bad list. Missouri plays both sides of the Mississippi, of your patience. St. Louis and Kansas City keep trying to reinvent themselves, new districts, new stadium talk, new promises, while the crime map keeps interrupting the ribbon cutting. You can find a nice house at a price that doesn't make your account faint, but you'll spend a lot of energy choosing exactly which side of the highway you want to live on. Get the location right and you're grilling in the backyard, waving at neighbors, and discovering shockingly good donut shops. Get it wrong and you're replacing your car window and learning the names of 3 different precincts. Small towns and suburbs offer that slow is good lifestyle, but the commute costs time, and time is a one-way street. Missouri's deal is classic Midwestern. Plenty to love, but bring a spreadsheet and a spine. You're going to need it. 43.6% of Missouri residents wouldn't recommend the state. Number 9, Illinois. Illinois is a tale of two realities. The one where Chicago's skyline whispers opportunity, and the one where your property tax bill screams louder. The schools can be great, the jobs can be real, but the culture is undeniably top shelf. Then April arrives with a tax bill that looks like a ransom note, and suddenly you're Googling counties you've never heard of just to see if the rate drops across different township lines. Many families play the triage triangle: commute, cost, community, and then try and pick which corner hurts least. Downstate Illinois delivers porches, space, and quiet, but often at the price of fewer jobs and longer drives for special care. Chicago keeps the elevators moving, but charges a cover at the door. People leave, people stay, people hedge. Illinois is livable and lovable. It just asks more than it gives some years. Right now, they're kind of looking at it being one of those years. 44.1% wouldn't recommend Illinois to friends and family. Who saw that one coming? Number 8, Alaska. Alaska is the most beautiful argument you'll ever have with your wallet. The mountains say stay forever, and the prices say let's get out of town quick. A simple grocery run becomes an expedition, and replacing a water heater can feel like a negotiation with a small kingdom. The scenery justifies every screensaver you've ever seen about Alaska, while the logistics quietly present a bill with a lot of zeros for a place with few roads. We've been through this way too many times, but everything has to be shipped to Alaska this side of salmon and moose meat, so you're going to have to pay for it. It's relatively affordable to live there until you start buying stuff. The community spirit here is real. People show up for each other because you have to out here, but the basics take planning that would make a quartermaster proud. If you don't know what a quartermaster is, that's the supply guy in the military. At least in the Army, we called him quartermaster. They might call him different things in other branches. The more you know. Winters aren't just cold, they're long, and you build your calendar around light like it's a precious metal. Crime stats don't care how pretty the glaciers are. Believe it or not, Alaska is one of the most dangerous states. Not talking about bear attacks. And isolation can magnify small problems into big ones. Alaska pays you in awe and charges you in hassle. Decide which currency you want more of. 44.5% of Alaskans would recommend the state to friends or family. Number 7, Hawaii. Hawaii is everything the brochure promises, but it's also everything your mortgage fears. Water is a color that makes atheists change their mind. And the air smells like someone left the world on tropical setting. Then you start shopping for starter homes and you realize starter is a word invented by mainlanders. Even renting feels like you're financing a small sailboat you never get to see. Daily life can be simple if your math is complicated. Small spaces, shared costs, and a budget that treats avocados like diamonds. The community is tight, which helps, and the natural beauty pays interest on your sanity. But unless you arrive with a strong income or strong roots, the island will test your definition of paradise. You don't just move to Hawaii, you negotiate with it. 48.2% of Hawaiian residents wouldn't recommend the state to their friends or family. Number 6, Florida. Florida loves to sell you on no state income tax. Then it introduces you to its two best friends, home insurance and special assessment. The sunshine is unbeatable. It's called the Sunshine State. The beaches are sneaky addictive, and winter is a story that other people tell in other states because they don't have it there. But storms do show up and they don't negotiate. Buildings age, and the true cost of a condo near the water shows up in meeting minutes and reserve studies. For newcomers, the honeymoon often ends with a renewal notice. Families can make it work, many do, and if you're retiring with a plan, it can still be paradise. But this is grown-up budgeting, not fantasy baseball. When the forecast blinks red, you'll check the storm shutters, line up the patio furniture, and hope that your premium doesn't break up with your bank account. Florida is still Florida. The bill just keeps getting bolder. 51.4% of Florida residents wouldn't recommend it to friends or loved ones. A little shocked because it's still pretty much a popular state. I think it's just getting too expensive with a lot of different things, and that's changing a lot of people's perspective. Number 5, New Mexico. New Mexico is stunning and stubborn. The kind of place where the sky tricks you into forgiving everything else. Afternoon light hits the mesa and you think, I live in a painting. And then you get your car back from the glass shop. Some neighborhoods wrestle with theft and break-ins like it's a team sport. An ordinary errand can feel like a risk assessment. The flip side is the culture is layered thick. Food that ruins chain restaurants and towns that still feel like towns. People find their pockets where they want to live and they dig in. Good neighbors, iron bars on the back door, and a routine that avoids obvious trouble spots. If you're wired for it, the landscape and the peace repay you. If not, the grind of small frustrations add up and you realize the big sky doesn't cover everything. New Mexico does have some serious crime, but it also, like every place, has some pockets where it's really nice. It's just a lot of that crime is concentrated in a few spots that always hit the news. Kind of like Tennessee with Memphis. Kind of like Portland with Oregon. 52.8% of New Mexico residents wouldn't recommend it to friends or loved ones. Number 4, California. Now, I'm sure a lot of you were going, California's going to be number 1 because California sucks and it's some liberal hellhole. And all. We hear it all the time. But remember, this was asked of Californians, not people in Mississippi that watch too much cable news. But here California is at number 1. California is the show that everyone watches and the ticket everyone complains about. The coastline is a masterpiece. The redwoods look like they were designed by a benevolent giant, and the big cities hum like they're plugged into a different century. Then you try and buy a house and you discover you're accidentally entering a high-stakes auction where the prize is a 1978 ranch with original tile and a commute that measures in hours. Work is there if you could catch it. The fortunes still get made between coffee shops and code mergers. But the cost of simply existing, rent, childcare, gas, insurance, your favorite burrito, that adds up to a lifestyle surcharge that never clocks out. Some folks keep the dream alive and never look back. Others quietly check flight prices to Boise at 2 a.m. California is still the promise. It's just that the fine print got a lot longer. Now, California is back to slowly growing again. They did have a couple years during the pandemic and a couple years before that, I should say, where they lost population. And that was a total freak because, I mean, they've been growing since the 1800s, mid-1800s. So the last couple years, they're back to growing again. Small growth, but they're growing again. And that's why everyone got all the thing. People are flooding out of there. A lot of longtime residents are flooding out of there. But tons of people from the South, Midwest, East Coast, and other countries are flooding into California like they always have. It just slowed down to a point where they lost like 0.1% or something like that. But California does have a lot of people, residents, that don't recommend it. 55.4% wouldn't recommend California to their friends or loved ones. Number 3, Louisiana. Louisiana is the soundtrack you want and the budget you don't. The food is like a hug, the music is a memory, and the festivals feel like the stage forgot to grow up in the best way. But the weather brought a lawyer, the insurance companies brought an accountant, and suddenly your charming shotgun house is a math problem with beads on doorknobs. Daily life is still a push and pull between joy and logistics. People help each other because they gotta. And neighborhoods come alive on the front steps when the evening cools. But it's hard to ignore the storm season, the slow to fix potholes, and the way that some streets seem to be losing a long argument with gravity. You can live well here, truly. You just have to plan like a pessimist and celebrate like an optimist. 57.1% of Louisiana residents wouldn't recommend it to friends or loved ones. Number 2, West Virginia. Yes, West Virginia, one of my favorite states, and most people wouldn't recommend moving there. That's kind of sad. Beautiful state, beautiful people. It's just West Virginia. But West Virginia is beautiful in that quiet way that doesn't ask for applause. The hills fold over each other like a blanket, the rivers keep talking, and town people still wave at each other. Yet opportunity doesn't always drive through. Too many adults are out of the workforce altogether, and the ladders that do exist can feel rickety and far apart. Families do thrive here with creativity, remote work cobbled together with trades that still pay, and side gigs that would confuse a tax preparer. Healthcare and education can mean long drives, and one bad month is a phrase people say too often here. Still, the sense of home is deep, and leaving it is harder than a spreadsheet would suggest. West Virginia's heart is easy to love. It's the economies of scale that keep breaking it. Now, West Virginia, I'm always a cheerleader of. I know a lot of people there. They're wonderful. The state is beautiful. They just had some incredibly bad luck and a lot of piss poor management over the decades. Not just recently. I'm talking, it goes way back. They should have seen the writing on the wall years ago, and they should have made adjustments. And right now, 59.3% of the residents wouldn't recommend it to friends or family. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget to hit that like button. Leave me a comment. Tell me which one you're surprised about. I'd love to hear about it in the comment section. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Mississippi. Mississippi knows how to tell a story, and a lot of them are about hanging on by a thread. Houses are cheap enough to make you suspicious, and land is something regular people still talk about buying without laughing. But the low sticker price shows up later in thin services, a shortage of high-paying jobs, and schools that depend heavily on your zip code and a little luck. I have a lot of family in Mississippi. Shouldn't say a lot. Most of them have moved to like South Carolina, Florida, places like that. But yeah, I've been to Mississippi so many times. I remember back when I first started going, when I was like 12, going, wow, this place is kind of backwards. It hasn't changed much. And that's been almost 40 years. Community does a lot of heavy lifting here. Churches, cousins, and you always know a guy that can get something done. And that makes life possible here. At the same time, it's tough to climb when the rungs are far apart. A motivated family can carve out a good life here. But it often feels like building a house and carrying the lumber uphill. Mississippi offers room to breathe and asks you to bring your own oxygen. There isn't a lot of services here, and there's a lot wrong with Mississippi, and it all stems from poverty. low education levels, and terrible luck. 65.3% of Mississippi residents wouldn't recommend it to friends or family. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.